me ZNT because I'm the best in the game. I got the fame, the style that isn't lame.
Hey, is there a cassette tape anywhere?
I sure do. This cassette is the best, I can attest. Best cassette in the east to the west. Yeah, I ain't a rapper. This cassette's dapper. I'm no capper.
Okay, do you mind if I take that off your hands?
Yeah, sure.
Alright, thank you.
No problem, bro.
And this is this week's Closet Classics.
Hi everybody and welcome back to another version of Police Beat, the show that keeps the Burlington Police Department into the community through Burlington Cable Access Television and shows you a little bit of what we're about and the services we provide. I'm Steve Cross, your host. My guest this month is Sergeant Glen Mills. Sergeant Mills has been with the Burlington Police Department for 11 years. He was a special police officer in 1992. Then he became an intermittent or a reserve officer in 1993. He's been full-time since 1996, and he's been a sergeant since 2001. Now, I hope I got all those dates right. Welcome to the show, Glen.
Hi, Steve.
Appreciate you being here. Glen, you've been involved in a number of things, and we'll talk about that tonight. But the thing I really want to start off with is the reverse 911. Now, I always like to call it 119 because it's reverse 911.
Right.
But could you explain a little bit what that is and what it entails? Because I'm sure that's new, and a lot of people in the community probably don't know about that.
That's true. A lot of people don't know about it. Reverse 911 is a computer system that allows us to make multiple phone calls, several hundred phone calls in a very short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if we had some kind of a major emergency, we could inform a large number of residents in town in a very short amount of time.
Now, how that does it? Because it's reverse 911. Does it work on the same principle as 911, getting the information, the phone numbers, that type of thing?
What it is it's basically like a telemarketer's machine.
Uh-huh.
It's been converted to more of an emergency use.
Yeah.
You can record a message into it, and you are given a map of Burlington, and you can actually draw on that map on the computer and deliver a pre-recorded message to the people inside of that area.
So you could just do it to a neighborhood if you could?
Right.
Or you could do the whole town?
Exactly.
Now, has this been used?
Yes, we've used it a few times
Yep.
already. We had one incident recently up at the high school where we've actually called a number of parents up there to inform them that there was an incident going on and just to let them know what was happening.
Okay, now who set up the reverse 911? Was that something we had to go through a private company or the phone company? Or?
I believe it was from a grant that the chief got a while ago.
Yeah.
Purchased the machine.
And who operates it? Is it just you, or is there a number of people trained in it?
There are a few people that know how to operate it.
Mm-hmm.
It does require a little bit of training and practice.
Yeah.
And fortunately, it's not something that we've had to use a lot. But,
let me get back to the high school incident. You said you could draw an area of the town where you could call all those people. How would you call just the parents of the students? Do they have a student list? Or?
Yes, that's exactly what we did. We got a list from the Burlington School Department, and I've been working on putting all the students into those lists based on what schools they go to. Right now the high school list is done, and I've just completed the Marshall Simons Middle School, and I'm working on all of the elementary schools right now so that we can just call the, I believe there are 700 some odd numbers for the high school parents, 700 some odd numbers for the middle school parents.
And those change yearly, am I wrong?
Yes, yes.
So you're going to have to redo it in September?
Yes, I am.
Well, hey, that's why we have you,
Right.
But is this something a lot of departments go with? Or so we like on the forefront?
We're on the forefront here. A lot of departments don't have this yet. Tewksbury Police Department has had it for a number of years. I believe they use it quite a bit.
Yeah.
There are a few other towns in Massachusetts, but not many. I believe Waltham will be getting it soon.
Okay.
And Melrose will be getting it soon.
Yeah. So, wow, that's unbelievable. Is this something that other departments in other areas of the country have had, and it's just coming here?
Yes, other departments have had it for quite some time, and they've used it in many different ways. And I think you'll see it a lot more in the coming years with some of the terrorism grant money coming out. It's a tool that could be used for something like that.
Right, and we had the chief on last month, and he mentioned that not a lot of Homeland Security money is trickling down to the local police departments. Could that be something that they look
That's
into?
very true. Melrose, I believe, is going to purchase their system with some of this Homeland Security money.
Good, good. Well, at least it's getting down to us. So,
Right.
you know, it's not all
Slowly.
airports and...
Slowly but surely.
Okay, well, that's great. That's a great system. Another thing, speaking of innovations, I think it's a state law now, but automatic external defibrillators are now in the cruisers.
Yes.
Is that a state law now that we have to have those in the cruiser and we have to be trained in those?
I honestly, I can't tell you. I believe they were discussing it a while ago,
Yeah.
but
But we just got it through Zoll Medical,
yes.
and now say you're the patrol sergeant on a certain shift, and are you responsible for making sure they go with them, that type of thing?
Yes, yes, I do that every once in a while. I'll make sure people have them, and if they don't, I call them in and remind them to put them into their cars.
Right, and who in the department would be responsible for the maintenance, et cetera? Or is it that we have a couple of...
We have two CPR officers who are going to be in charge of those, Dan Houston and Paul Glazier.
Right, and they handle all the maintenance, et cetera?
Yes.
They wouldn't do the maintenance, obviously. They'd
Right.
send it out.
They'll send them out, right.
But Zoll Medical has been great in getting those in the cars. So, and also they have those heart stickers
Yes.
on the back of all the cars. So if anybody's wondering what the heart stickers are, it's because we have defibrillators in the car now. So, yeah, that's another thing. So reverse 911 and the defibrillators, those are relatively new within the last year or two?
Yes.
Yeah, both of them?
Yes.
The defibrillators being the newer of the two, right?
Yes.
Well, since you've been a sergeant, you're not the junior sergeant anymore, since there's been a slew of promotions lately.
Right.
But you've been in the forefront in a couple of changes and caused a little friction every now and then with some of the officers, but that's okay. We got to keep things interesting. But we'll get onto uniforms later. The baton that we're carrying now.
Yes.
Not everybody. It's not mandatory yet.
No, it is not. We've made it an option.
Right. And it's expandable.
Yes. I have one with me if you'd like to see it.
Pull it out. Let's see it.
Okay. This is our new baton. As you know, we used to carry what was called the PR-24 side handle baton.
Yeah.
And that was a baton that was 24 inches in length with a side handle that would be carried sort of in this fashion right here. Well, the problem with the PR-24 is that it takes a lot of training and experience and practice to use it effectively. And because it's in its full extended length at all times, it's very hard to carry around, and a lot of officers don't like carrying them.
Right.
They're very uncomfortable. They bang into your knee and your leg when you walk.
Right.
So a lot of people weren't carrying them. So I proposed to the chief, when we had some money, that we switch our baton so that people would actually carry these. And the advantage of these is that they don't require as much training and experience and practice, constant practice to be proficient with them.
Right.
And the baton is expandable, and it can be expanded, either drawn out of the holster or just simply pulled out like I did just now.
Pull that? That's
Yes.
that easy?
That's it.
Okay.
And this has a button, a locking button on it, so that the baton does not close unless you want it to.
Right.
Because some other makes of batons will do that. They'll collapse when you actually use them. And there are a lot of advantages to this because they are very simple to use.
Yeah.
They're very effective. And
they go right
simply
back
the act of drawing the baton,
wow.
it has an intimidating effect where hopefully you never have to hit anybody with it.
Right.
It's just the psychological impact of pulling that out. So they've turned out to be pretty popular, pretty well received.
And it's not, like I said earlier, it's not mandatory. It's the officer.
It's if the officer is comfortable carrying this,
Right.
if he wants to carry it and he wants to practice with it.
Right. Now, how much training did they get on this?
They did a very quick class the past few weeks. We just finished a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah?
And it was a 4-hour training program.
Okay.
Officers Ferguson and Officer McDonough did an excellent job of training most of the department.
Good.
Most people did opt to carry it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't, but that's
Right.
just me. I don't get a lot of cause to use that in the elementary schools.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully not is right. So, but it has its own holder, and you can leave it there, and you almost don't know it's there, right?
Yes, it's very comfortable. You can sit in the cruiser with
Yep.
it. You can walk around with it, and you don't even really notice it. I have an additional attachment on it, this large cap here on the
Yeah.
end. This can be removed, so it's even more compact. But this has the advantage of the baton stays in your hand,
Right.
and it has an additional striking surface.
Yeah, well, that's
Right.
good. It's just something that you know, that the police have been carrying for years, and I thought, I think with the PR-24 we kind of got away from it. Not a lot of people did carry that,
That's very true.
so that's it's a good non-lethal force to have with you,
Right.
and hopefully never have to use.
Right. The more options that you have in any kind of
Yeah.
use of force encounter is it's better than going up a level higher than you would have to.
Right.
So we don't have to go straight to our firearm. We have a level lower if the situation warrants
Right.
it.
So it's for those that might say, "Geez, they're carrying clubs now." I mean,
Right.
we always have been, and also it's better to have a tool like that, so you don't have to escalate. Good.
Right.
Good. Another thing you were involved in, since you've been a sergeant for such a short time, and you got so much stuff you're involved in, was the uniforms. Now, people out there might have looked around last summer and seen police officers in shorts and golf shirts or polo shirts. Can you tell me how that came about? And actually, you could tell me what the policy is towards it too.
Well, what happened was last year it was suggested by a few people, several people, that maybe it would be nice to have an optional summer uniform because people had seen in other parts of the country and even some of the beach communities around here that police officers in the summertime were wearing uniforms with shorts, golf-type shirts, and they couldn't help but notice how comfortable they looked
Right.
when they drove by as compared to how we look in the summer.
Yeah.
And,
Hot.
Hot, yes.
Very hot.
Very hot. So it sort of became, well, let's look into it, and we had a few vendors come up and show us some different items. So a lot of the things really weren't that good.
Right.
And I got involved in it, looked at a few different items, made a recommendation to the chief, wrote up a policy and procedure for it, and the chief made some changes to it, and he approved it, and we wound up with that uniform.
Yeah. Now, it's not mandatory, correct?
No, it is not mandatory. It's totally optional.
Right. And actually, because it's optional, the officer out of his clothing allowance has to pay for it out of his actual clothing allowance, correct?
Yes.
Now, that means there's no actual real cost to the town because he gets the clothing allowance for uniforms anyway.
No, believe it or not, I spend a lot on my clothing allowance every
Yeah.
year for new uniforms,
Yeah.
and I actually had to pay money out of my own pocket to purchase the uniforms that I got.
Yeah, but it seems that the people who wear them swear by them.
Yes, yes, they're very comfortable. I happen to wear the version with the long pants. We had an option of
Oh,
wearing
that's right,
shorts or long pants,
Right.
and I found that at nighttime it was very much to my advantage to have that on,
Yeah.
and it was very comfortable, and it made
Right.
doing some of the odd things that we have to do in our job a lot easier.
Now, an interesting thing is as people have watched the show before, they see that the command officers wear the white shirts.
Yes,
Now, the only difference between your summer uniform and a patrolman side of the uniform would be what? The gold badge
that's it.
on the shirt.
That's it.
So, like you said, it's at nighttime. It is good because I've been on calls at nighttime and you guys glow in the dark
Yes.
with
Yes.
those white shirts on.
Yes.
So that would be a good change. And again, there's I don't know if you're on. Are you on the uniform committee that we have now?
No, actually, I didn't
You
have
don't?
time because I'm involved in so many other things.
Right.
I
yeah.
couldn't really get
But
involved. In it.
you know, that's people are very passionate about them. I can
Yes.
only say that because there's
The
been some-
patrolmen really love them.
Yeah.
They love them.
Yeah, and they are practical. They don't look like a traditional police officer, but every now and then we have to get into situations, and they are comfortable and they're much more durable
Yes.
than these things that we wear now.
Yes.
So, do you think they'll make it another summer anyway?
I really can't say.
Yeah.
It's up to the chief, and I'll support his decision
Right.
100%, whether he decides to get rid of them or to
Yeah.
keep them on. I can only say from my experience that they were really good for checking alarms at buildings. I've
Right.
had to climb on the roof of buildings.
Right.
I've had to jump over fences,
Yeah.
and changing tires on cars to help people and pushing cars. It was a lot easier.
Yeah. And they're a lot more washable too.
Yes,
So
very
these
washable,
things.
very durable.
But I choose not to wear it. It's only because it's just my option. I didn't wear it last summer either, but I'm always slower to change than most people, so you never know, maybe in the future.
Right.
When the chief first made chief, if that makes sense, he kind of took the command staff and kind of gave you guys tasks. Everybody was put in charge of something.
Yes.
And you, I don't know if it's your only one, but one of your main things is the part-time police officers.
Yes,
Which is a very interesting thing to be in charge of.
Right.
Are you in charge of just the special police officers or also the intermittent police officers? Or
the permanent intermittents and
Yeah.
the specials.
does that include the traffic matrons when they're
No.
working that capacity? It isn't. Okay,
No,
because Helen
it's
Bowman
just-
takes care of that?
Yes. Everyone who
Okay.
carries a gun,
Right.
who works part-time.
So does that mean, what's that entail? Does that entail everything from rules and regulations or just on details? Or?
Yes, anytime there's a complaint against a special officer,
Mhm.
it would come to me.
Yeah.
Or if somebody has something good to say about a part-time officer, that would also come to me.
Right.
And any sort of policy and procedure. Right now, as maybe some people know, we're coming up for certification.
Right. I was going to bring
Well,
that up too.
I've been given the task of writing all of the policies and procedures relating to part-time police officers.
Now, certification allows part-time police officers. Maybe that's a misconception on my part.
Yes, it does.
It does.
Yeah.
Now, so well, we don't have that many intermittents now, do we?
No, we just have a handful of intermittents. Two of them are in the academy right now.
Right.
And we do have a number of special police officers. though.
Okay, but now, are you also in charge of the retired police officers who are specials?
Yes.
So that would come under you?
Yes, it would.
Okay. What about their training? I know they have annual training that they're supposed to be doing.
Right. Honestly, our training hasn't been up to what it should be in the past few years, but hopefully we'll be able to work on that sometime in the near future. But they do get their CPR, first responder, and firearms training
Yeah.
on a pretty regular basis.
So they do that every year?
Yes.
Or whatever's required by law?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of things are going to have to change in the special police officers for certification?
Basically, there need to be written rules and regulations.
Yeah.
Right now, we don't really have that in place.
Mm-hmm.
And the standards of hiring, who we hire, what kind of interview process they go through, there's really nothing in writing.
Okay.
We've just sort of done it however it's been done in the past.
Well, for years and years
For
and
years and years.
So specials, they can, what can they do, what can't they do? I mean,
Special
duty.
police officers are police officers in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
They have what's called Chapter 90 powers, which means that they can stop vehicles.
Right.
Generally, in the town of Burlington, we use them mostly for construction details, and they'll get the details that we can't fill with our full-time force. And this allows us to have more officers out in the streets on
Right.
any given day.
Right. Now, this kind of relates to uniforms. Is it in the certification process? Do they have to be in the same uniform as the regular police officers, part-time police officers? Is that because that would be a stumbling block a little bit?
I believe that is a requirement of certification, that they do have to have the exact same uniform that the full-time officers do. Currently, they wear a different colored shirt,
Right.
and they actually have a different summer uniform also.
Oh, so they wear the summer uniform also?
Yes, they did get summer uniforms last year.
And
near
did
the
a
end
lot of
the
them get 'em?
season. Yes, quite a few did.
Yeah, and they do bail us out because the Route 128 construction detail,
Yes.
that was a tough one last year, and that was every night, 4 or 5 guys. So they,
Right.
not that they didn't get paid for it.
Of course, they
know.
paid well, but it is well worth it.
Yeah.
having
Have
them out
you
there.
had any problems in that area? Let's get to the dark side of it.
Honestly, not really. If
Really?
anything's a major problem, it would go above my level
Okay,
as
so
far as training and discipline. I've had some minor issues, misunderstandings. A lot of times, what my job entails, even with the full-time officers, is a misunderstanding. A member of the public thinks that they were treated unfairly, and they come into the station and they say, this officer gave me a ticket when I shouldn't have gotten a ticket, or something like this, and I'll explain to them, well, this is why we did it, and that's 99% of the problems right there.
Yeah. Anybody? I don't know if I should ask this question, but I'm gonna anyway. You can deflect it if you want. Anybody you see not being a special anymore? Not any names or anything. Do you think there might be a little trimming down of it?
Currently, we would like to tighten that group up and have our requirements raised. Maybe some of the people that were hired without interviews might have to go through an interview process again. We might actually have to rehire everybody on that list because they've never gone through any sort of checks to get the job.
And well, plus we've had specials for years who've never worked details or anything else. Would they? Would you call them up and say, do you still want to be a special? Or?
Yes, I'd like to do that. I'd like to make sure that we actually have people who are available and are willing to work. Because a lot of times we have situations where we do need those extra bodies, and they are reserved for. Anytime we had a real emergency, we would certainly be calling all of them in to work and help us.
I remember a number of years ago when I was a special, I'm not going to say how many, it was a little while ago, I was required to work 4th of July. That's not a requirement of specials anymore, am I correct?
That's correct. We don't have any requirements right now. We just ask for volunteers. Luckily, we have a group of people who they volunteer for anything. Anything I ask them, they come right out and they're right there. And they ask for nothing in return. They're volunteering all their own time on prime summer days, on the weekends. And we have some great people there that really helped us out.
Do you think that maybe in the future that could be a possibility of requiring specials to donate some time? I know you said some of them, and I know them. They're very fine people to do that. And Dare Day's coming up, people, so... but some people might need a little nudge. Do you think that that might happen, or would that be something you'd like to see happen?
It's something I would like, but it's really not up to me. It's the final policy and procedure that we come up with at the end of the year. And some people feel that they shouldn't be required to have to volunteer their time. You know, the full-time officers aren't required to volunteer their time. I'm not required to. You're not. We do sometimes here and there. And but
you must be good to deal with police officers without any union issues, because the specials aren't in a union. So that would be something that they might have to do it. But I couldn't foresee, personally, I couldn't foresee anybody on that list really complaining about that. Maybe 1 or 2 people that I wouldn't know about, but maybe the retired guys. No, are they specials, as in, like, they're just special police officers, right?
Yes.
So you'd be their boss, pretty much.
Yes, I would. So,
is that an odd feeling a little bit? Having somebody who's been a police officer for 35 years and all of a sudden you're their boss? It does happen. When I was first promoted, it was sort of a strange feeling, but I don't know, I always felt pretty confident in my position and my knowledge, and really not had a problem with it. Good. And, how about the baton? Do they carry the baton also, or will they be able to?
They will be able to if they're properly certified. They'll be able to carry it.
Okay. Anything else in regards to specials you want to talk about? I want to get back to the reverse 911, because I don't think we're done talking about that.
There's a lot there.
There's a lot there on the reverse 911. Now, you know that Sergeant Glen Mills is like a jack of all trades here, because he's got all these things going. But the reverse 911 is kind of your baby, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I've taken that on. And
is that another thing you're in charge of?
Yes, I'm the systems administrator for the reverse 911 system.
So you're in charge of the specials. You're in charge of the reverse 911. And are you also in charge of CGIS?
Yes, I am.
Which is the computer terminal which we get all our information from.
That's the criminal justice information system. And what that allows us to do is that is our information tie-in to the FBI, the state police, the registry of motor vehicles, the ATF, any law enforcement agency in the country, really. And you, being the systems administrator, are you just responsible for certification, et cetera? Do you do what the current chief now used to do, like issue passwords and all that stuff? Yes, I do.
You do all of that?
Yes.
Do you have any time to go out on the road at all?
Lately, no. But the weather's been pretty poor, and it's been helpful that there hasn't been a lot going on in the past few months. It's allowed me some time to work on these other projects, but I know as the weather gets better, I'm going to have to be out on the road a lot more. Now,
with the, like I said about the reverse 911 that we talked about earlier, that's a big job, entering all the students' names, et cetera, demographic groups. Looking for an assistant or anything? Maybe somebody out there?
Actually,
an officer?
If I could get a volunteer to do these things for me, it is a lot of manual work, just putting names into lists.
All right. Now, what other demographics would you have to enter names for? I know the schools. Great idea. Necessary. Senior citizens housing, maybe?
Yes, we've used it. Actually, the Council on Aging, Marge McDonald gave me a list of the seniors in town who are part of their meals program. And what this allowed us to do, there are about approximately 50 people on that list. When we have bad weather, they can simply call the police department, Council on Aging can,
Right.
and just say, the meals program is canceled today, could you just launch that session? And all we have to do now is walk over to the machine,
Yeah.
we hit a few keys,
Right.
there's a pre-recorded message that will go out to those 50 people, letting them know that they aren't getting their meals that day, to eat their emergency meals. And
Okay, so that's something that they would do a number of times a year maybe because of the weather.
right, we did do it one time already, and it worked perfectly.
What about something that didn't have it? Who would record a message? Do you record it right there at the front desk?
I could set up messages months in advance, and people at the desk can walk over to it, and like they do with the high school incident,
Yeah.
they set up that whole entire call session right there. You record your message,
Yeah.
you determine who you're going to call, whether it's a list or geographic area,
Right.
and then you launch the calling session.
Now, is this just for the town of Burlington? Is there a way you could call surrounding communities?
We
with
could
this?
program in the surrounding departments. We could even program in our own officers. For example, if we needed to call in a lot of people very
Right.
quickly, it has what's called a mobilization feature, and we could actually call every police officer, page every police officer.
So I could get a phone call with you on saying we have an emergency in town. We need all the police officers to
Right.
show up.
Right.
Like, did you know? And you might not know this. Did New York City have this on September 11th? That would have been something like that. Would have been perfect
Right.
on a day like that for all police officers and firefighters to come in. I mean, I know they were on the radio and everything.
I believe they have different systems that are similar to what
Yeah.
fire departments have used for years that,
Right.
that page multiple people.
Right, and God forbid we ever
certain
need it,
units.
but yeah, it's great to have. And is there going to be anything you'd like to see enhanced on it or changed on it?
I would
since
love
you've
to
been working
see
with
the capacity up. Right now we have an 8-line capacity,
Yeah.
and we can upgrade that to 24 lines. And I think that would be a great investment in the town's safety and well-being.
All right.
Right now,
Yeah.
let's say, for example, I have a 30-second message.
Right.
If I were to deliver that message, that would give me 8 calls every 30 seconds.
Oh, okay.
16 calls in
Yeah.
1 minute, 960 calls an hour.
Oh, all right.
Currently, the database that I have has over 8,000 phone numbers in it.
So that's a while it'll take.
It's going to take a while.
Yeah.
But now when
Okay.
you up the capacity to, say, 24 lines,
Right.
we're cutting that time to deliver that important message in half or
Yeah.
in a third, whatever.
It's amazing with all the high-speed internet access and everybody else has that you couldn't make phone calls faster. But, well, reverse 911. So if you get a phone call from the police department, it's Glen Mills talking.
Usually.
Pay attention. Well, I appreciate you coming, Glenn. This was short notice, and you were great to come by and help us out. And it turns out you're into everything, so that's great. It's a good person to have on the show. The only person that has more responsibilities than you I've had on the show would be the chief. So you're doing well. If you want to get a hold of Glenn, he works 8 to 4 usually.
Yes. day
But
shift.
on a different schedule. He also works weekends. So that's it for another month. Like I said, Glenn was a great guest, and we had a lot to talk about. We'll see you next month on another version of Police Feed. I'm your host, Steve Cross, and thanks for watching. I appreciate it. We'll see you later.
I want to be proud of myself.
Drugs are stupid.
Nicotine is a drug.
Hello, my name is Michael C. Mather, Executive Director for the Massachusetts Governors Alliance Against Drugs.
This dear class here in Worcester is one of thousands being taught to our children across our Commonwealth. Every year in our state, tens of thousands of students learn strategies for resisting drugs and violence through the DARE program. DARE officers like Leonard Johnson play an important role in shaping healthy lives for young people. Yet the problem of drugs in our society is so pervasive that no prevention education program can provide all the answers. Classroom discussion will open the door. It is up to us as parents to keep that door of communications open in the home.
Normally ask you, what kind of a day is it? It hits off one side of the gym over to the catch it, it goes through their knees. He runs around the bases there. He made it home. Everybody's yelling, they're making a lot of noise, and he's thinking, whoa, hey, I did it! What happens?
Today, I am here to speak to parents and adults. The prevention education community needs your help. Talk to your children about their choices and the consequences. Listen to them. Hear what they have to say. Talking about drugs is not easy. Establishing early, regular communication with your child develops an open relationship that could last a lifetime. In most cases, there may be no issue in your child's life. Your effort is still worthwhile because it will communicate to your child that you will be there. Maintain that open door of communication. It will be well worth the effort and can be a lifesaver. Remember, prevention education programs can open the door for our children. We as parents must keep that door open for life. Thank you.